Hello, welcome to Livestream Monday. Today we are going to talk about how to use crystals in everyday magic. So I'm going to share some intentions that we might come across in our everyday lives and talk about some simple ways for you to be able to choose crystals that will help align your energy with those intentions. Okay, so I'm just going to jump right in and get started. Alrighty. So I want to start off by explaining what I mean by everyday magic. So we talk a lot about Sabbats and we talk a lot about full moons and new moons and spell work and all of this, and all of that's great. But we can also use crystals and other catalysts in our everyday life. So for example, at home, things that you might see at home might be, you might feel like you want some protection or you want some love. Maybe at work, you want some prosperity, especially if you're trying to get ahead or you're trying to get a raise. Again, maybe protection because, hello, hi, Carrie, hi, Amanda. Because at work, sometimes we deal with people that we don't really want to deal with. And then maybe even empathy at work. And another example of everyday magic is maybe something that you would like to carry around with you, or intend, like some sort of intention that you might find yourself resonating with at a different part of the day, like, again, protection, prosperity, love, peace, anti-anxiety, that sort of thing. And then also I want to talk about a little bit about the kitchen, because in the kitchen, you might want to add some love. Hi, Julie. Some love or togetherness or, happiness or compassion in the kitchen. Everybody's life is going to be different, and everybody is going to want to choose different intentions for different parts of their everyday life. But those are just a couple of examples to get us started. So when we think about crystals, and I have some here, I have kind of a lot. I've kind of made quite a mess of my desk. I want to talk about easy ways to be able to use these sorts of crystals. So for example, mojo bags, jewelry, if you want to have like a big crystal, like I have one kind of similar to this that I have at work is like decor. You can use crystals in grids, you can use them in gem elixirs, you can use them to create amulets or talismans to carry around with you. But the thing is, we only have a finite amount of crystals, and we don't all have $1 bazillion to spend on crystals, right? We all wish we did, if you're me, because it can get a little bit addicting and super fun to buy new pretty sparkly things. But I want to talk about some practical things when it comes down to crystals, so that maybe you might be able to use what you already have in your everyday life. So I want to start off by talking about sizes and shapes of crystals. So a question that comes up in a lot of the groups that I'm in are like, is a bigger crystal better? I mean, that's a pretty good question. Bigger crystals are going to have like a bigger energy, but that doesn't mean a little crystal isn't going to, affect anything at all. So if you've got a giant chunk of like moldavite or something, then you are going to totally feel it. It's going to be a little bit more amplified, as opposed to a tiny bit of moldavite, which is super expensive either way. So I just kind of want to get that out there, but it doesn't mean that the smaller crystals don't work. They totally work. They will help you align with your energy. And it's even better, I feel like, if you're going to have something on you, like at all times, you don't want to have a giant, like Flava Flav clock style. I mean, unless you do, far be it from me. You could like hang this around your neck if you want to. But the little ones are better for personal use, and I like the bigger ones to have like in spaces. So let's talk about sizes and shapes of crystals. And I want to start talking about that because a lot of people, we just buy shapes and sizes of things because they're pretty. But we don't really always think about how we can use these shapes of these crystals in order to project energy or to receive energy or to charge something. So we can use, a lot of times we can use the crystals that we already have by taking a look at the sizes and the shapes. So for example, I want to start out with, I want to like get all my hair out of here. I want to start out with like your average regular quartz point. Here we go. There you go. Average, everyday quartz point. So one of the cool things about points on crystals is you can use them to help direct that intent and direct that energy using the point. So for example, I probably shouldn't have started with this one. But so for example, if I wanted to give myself peace, I can use a crystal like this blue calcite, and I could set it on my desk, and I can set the quartz crystal. Quartz crystal tends to also be an amplifier. I know it's a crystal that everybody uses for everything, and everybody programs for everything. Hi, Nancy. But it tends to also be an amplifier. So when you get some quartz points, they're really, really helpful and really awesome to have. And they're super reasonably priced. So I can lay this on my desk, and I can use this quartz crystal and put the point toward me to help channel that peaceful energy. So is that better or worse than like wearing something like this? I can't tell you, because everybody is going to have different reactions to different crystals. But when you have something that's a point like this, it can allow you to help direct that energy. So for especially like if you do grids. Now I was trying to find my grid piece, but I could not find it. But a lot of times you might see like these wooden circles that look like the flower of life, and people will put their crystals in, and it will to help create a grid. Maybe it's under here. Nope. So what a grid basically is it is crystals in a specific pattern. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. But when you have things like this that can point the energy toward or away from something, that's always really good to have. So that's a point. Then we also have round crystals. Here's one that's perfectly round. It's a smoky quartz marble. Round crystals like this, and even crystals that are round but not spherical, are really good for anything with cycles, right? Because cycles are like a circle, has no beginning and no end. And these crystals are good. So if you have anything like cycle related, like if you want help with your menstrual cycle, you might want to find a carnelian one, or this is, I think, desert jasper. That's what I was told, I believe, about this one. And anything, you know, red related. And we're going to talk about colors a little later. But anything round is really good for anything that has to do with cycles. So again, this isn't something that a lot of people think about. Many people don't think about the exact shape of their crystals, and they kind of discount that. But you can really do a lot with a little if you only have a couple. Yeah, I like that one too. And then you can buy these little guys. I don't know if you can see them. Do you see they're like super tiny little baby quartz. Trying to get this bad boy open. Oops, sorry, little guys. But they're tiny baby quartz. And they are good for grids. Again, you can see these have 2 points on them. You probably can't see because it's so small. Nope, that's not helpful. Like I'm a makeup person. I don't really have anything. It's not white for some reason. Maybe you could see it if I do it like this. Not if my fingers cover it up. Anyway, I'm sure that will be the thumbnail of this video because it's always the least attractive frame. So a lot of these, yeah, shape can really make a difference, and it can really kind of expand like the uses for the crystals that you already have. So we've got these little babies. I got these if you are local to me in Southern California. I don't know if she still has them, but I got them at Blazy Rocks in La Habra. It was only $10 for all of these. Her stuff is really reasonably priced. And I was in there, and the owner Blazy is awesome. So if you're local, go buy her crystals because they are all nice and pretty and very reasonably priced. Okay, and then we have like this super teeny tiny ones, which I don't have, but I'm sure you've seen the little like baby mini jars that have the little tiny baby chips in them. Those are really good for mojo bags, for locket necklaces. I know Anne in here came up with that idea. She has like her origami owl necklace, and it she's mentioned it before, so I don't feel weird like talking about her. And she'll change out the things inside of that locket, and I make those locket necklaces too. So those are really good to have for like little tiny things that you might want to wear, or anytime that you want to just have something little and not be like the crystal lady. Those tiny little things that are almost the size of gravel are really good to have. Then we have your average regular tumble stone. It's about, this big. This one is polished kyanite. It's blue. These are good for mojo bags. They're good just to like throw in your purse. They're good to put in your bra. I know like a lot of women stick crystals in their bra. Like I usually stick my phone in my bra, but you can like stick crystals in your bra. Just don't forget them. Otherwise, when you like take it off at the end of the day, all of your crystals are going to fall out. But these are like then this is like your average tumble size when you go and you buy crystals at a crystal shop. It's really reasonably priced, and it's portable, but not so tiny that you're not really going to feel like you're feeling it. That you're not feeling it, because you're definitely going to feel something that's about this big. All right, now I want to talk about palm stones. Here's another circular one. So a palm stone is usually a tumble. When I say a tumble, I mean like a rough stone that's been tumbled, so it's really super smooth. Do I have any rough guys in here? Well, this calcite is rough. So like this is like a rough version of calcite. This is blue calcite rough, and this is like a tumbled version of calcite. So anything, so like usually a palm stone is going to be tumbled, so it's going to be smooth and you can hold it in your hand, and it really fits your palm. So this is a palm stone. The desert jasper that I showed you originally, that is also a palm stone. This one's my favorite though, because the shape of it is really, really cool. Like you can see like it's rounded on both sides. It's super pretty. This is labradorite. If you can see it. So this is my labradorite palm stone. And these are really good if you just want to hold something, if you're really nervous about something. I'm sure you've probably seen worry stones. But I thought I had one in here, but I guess I don't. But the worry stones have like the thumb groove. A palm stone is good also because you can just hold it if you're nervous. If you are worried about something, if you have jury duty, if you have to go to court for something, while you're waiting for your job interview, those sorts of things would be perfect for a palm stone because it's small enough for you to be able to hold and not be like, hey guys, I'm super nervous about this job interview, but I'm totally fine. That's a palm stones are really good for. All right. And also they're the circle, so they also can represent those cycles as well. Usually, some of them are not circle. Like somebody might suggest like this might be a palm stone. It's because it's the size of your palm, but to me, it's not a palm stone because I cannot shut this. My tiny little hands, my tiny smidgy fingers, won't do that. However, what's really cool is some are like flat, like this. This is because this is that orange calcite again. This is lepidolite mica. So this also is flat. This piece of Larimar is also flat. And you see a lot of like flat rectangles of selenite. And what's really cool about these flat guys is you can set something on it to charge it. So if I have decided I'm going to wear this specific necklace to help me with anxiety because I'm anxious all the time, and I want to do either a small working or I'm going to charge it with anti-anxiety energy or something like that. I can also, like for a little bit more oomph to my working, is I can put it on something like this. Like this is lepidolite, and lepidolite is for anxiety. So to help you not have anxiety, not to cause anxiety. So I could put that necklace right on there, and it will help reflect and continue to keep that necklace charged with that sort of energy. Okay. So I want to keep going, but really quickly, I want to talk about real quickly about how crystals work. And I'm not going to pretend like this is my story is law, like this is how it is. And this is, everybody's going to believe different things. I always like to say that because I want everybody to make sure that, like, you guys know I'm not going to pretend I'm the only person to ever talk about crystals. But when we use crystals have an innate energy to each of them. That's why we like say, like lepidolite is good for anti-anxiety. Blue calcite is good for peace. Smoky quartz is a good healer stone. Apache tear is good for grief. Like, we have all of these intentions that are attached to these stones, and that's for a reason. And one of those reasons is that these stones and these crystals have this innate energy already associated with them. Like, it's just naturally in them. It's just something that is. So a lot of people say, I think I used up my crystal. My crystal doesn't work anymore. I think I used it up. And that might mean it needs to be cleansed. That might mean, you might want to put it out under the moon to get a little bit of the moon energy into it. But crystals are going to be crystals. Like, but if you do use them a lot, you want to make sure that you do cleanse them, that you do give them love, that you do kind of charge them either with your own energy, with the energy of the moon. They are already charged. They already have that intention inside of them. But when we charge the crystal outside under the moon, or when we actually charge them, it helps that energy kind of come out a little bit. But the energy is already in that crystal. That's why we know, like, this crystal is good for love and that crystal is good for prosperity and all of that. So we already have those, but charging them helps bring that energy out. Mine like to rest. Yeah, like sometimes you don't want to work them hard. Who wants to work hard? Not my crystals. They take after their mama. No, just kidding. Okay. So that being said, I want to talk about, let's see. Next, I want to talk about the cabochon. Now, cabochon has a flat back. It could be a square. It can be a circle. Trying to find one of my favorites. Here we go. Okay. This is Bumblebee Jasper. It could be a teardrop. I'm all excited. This is my favorite. I should make some jewelry out of this instead of just having it sit around. But so it just has a flat back because you can make jewelry out of it. People create settings especially for these flat back pieces, and they're like meant to be like worn against your skin, like either as a necklace or as a bracelet or something like that. So like this guy, you can see it's not completely flat. You can see it's kind of like curved right here, but the back is flat. Again, that's labradorite. Labradorite is one of my favorites. I kind of have a lot of it. Not a lot, but probably more than your average person. Okay, so those are cabochons, and they're really good for jewelry. Also, they're good for mojo bags. You can easily even just create an amulet or a piece of jewelry just with wire. It's pretty easy. Like, we all have YouTube now, so you could probably construct something pretty quickly in less than a half hour. But, there you go. And then we have beads, since we're talking about jewelry. This is an agate bead. I have another agate bead. I think it's in my actual jewelry. Oh, no, here it is. My other agate bead. These were given to me at a retreat. So I love them so much. I need to make something out of them. But again, these can be used for jewelry, and they also can be used for charms. So I should have brought this in. But I have a charm that I made as part of a full moon, a working full moon ritual in my coven about good sleep. And we have beads like strung as part of our charm. So crystal beads are really, really, really handy to use because, again, they're usually small. The beads I have are smaller than this. They're kind of like chip beads. I'm sure you've seen them before. But it's cool because, again, you can use them in mojo bags. You can use them in jewelry. You can use them in charms. You can throw them, you know, in your purse. You can get a little spell jar if you've ever done spell jars and use them in there. They're super, their uses are super varied and super flexible. All right, so the next shape I want to talk to you about is the tower. Okay, I don't have a giant tower. It would be super cool if I did. Oh, okay, I have one that's bigger than this, but it's too far away. So this is a fluorite. This one's cooler. This one looks like a fairy world. This is a fluorite tower, and we can tell the tower because it's also called, not an activator. I can't remember the name of it. I'll remember it. If you remember it, put it in the comments. Not an activator, but I'll remember it. Okay, so it's got a flat end so it can sit down, like whatever, and it has a point. A lot of people use this in these sorts of things in grids to kind of activate the actual grid. All right. Hi, Jill. So, all right, so that is a tower. And so we can use them, especially if you get the larger ones. These are really good if you want to bring an energy into a space. Even these little guys, they're super, I like these little guys. I think they're perfect in grids, especially the ones that are faceted, because you can lay them down. Like I said earlier when we were talking about the points, how the point of the crystal can either channel energy to or from something. You can use that as these in the same way, but you can also use them to be a focal point of a grid. You can use them. I've done a ritual where I think it was one of these fluorite guys where it was actually a fertility ritual for a friend who wanted to get pregnant at the time. And I did a grid and I did a spell and it was a thing. And then I took and I like put all that energy and I did a grid. So when you do a grid, you've got all of these, it's like, let's say you've got a circle of crystals and then you might have like the tiny crystal points pointing in at something. So I had like carnelian and I can't remember what else. I think it was blue lace agate. And then I had like some amethyst and some like points that were pointing all toward this tower in the center. And so I did my ritual and then I actually gave this to her to put on her bedside table, you know, and then she got pregnant. So that was awesome. But like it can be a really good focal thing, a focal point, or you can use it as part of a grid, or you can even use it as a tiny wand, even, you know, it's up to you. But the things with the points are really good because you can either be projective with your energy or receptive. You can decide. And we have these that have dual points. This is smoky quartz. You can kind of see it's a little smoky. It's a little 1970s. So these are beautiful. I think they're one of my favorites. And they're also really good for grids. So in grids, like I said, you can use points to put in energy towards something. All right, let me show you what I mean. Okay. Okay. You have to please excuse my terrible artistry. I am terrible. Okay. Here is my very sad representation of a crystal grid. So you can see how we've got like these 4 crystals are at the outside, and then we have an inside circle made of 4 more crystals, and then we've got the little lines. And the little lines usually are either some sort of very super small crystal, or crystals like these tiny double terminated, which mean pointy at both ends, crystals. And that is because you want to decide how you want the energy to flow inside your crystal grid. And maybe I'll do a whole thing on crystal grids, but the cool thing about the double terminated ones is because they have points on both ends, the energy can flow either way. So You might want the energy to like be a circuit, like a closed circuit, like it flows in this way and it flows out this way and it flows in this way and it flows out this way. And in that manner, you are like creating and amplifying some sort of energy. Or like I said earlier, you just might want your points to flow towards something or flow away from something. It's up to you. Yeah, I think I'll probably do something just on grids. Then I can, maybe have something more prepared than this sad index card with my terrible chicken scratches on it. All right, so that is a tower, or the other word that I can't remember, and I'm going to remember probably as soon as we finish this live stream, because that's what happens. Oh, here's some more terminated mini wands. So I want to talk about wands. A lot of people use crystal wands. We see them a lot in healing, which is awesome. And in everyday magic, it might be good to use something like this. If you come home from like a toxic workplace, you might want to cleanse yourself. Like this is a selenite wand. You might want to just like cleanse yourself, use it to like almost as sage. Sometimes people will use it like to brush off the energy. So this is a selenite wand. We also have these like small double terminated wands, which I also like to use in grid work, even though they're pretty big, because I have 2 of them, because I like labradorite. So that's what I have. Or in healing, like I have this giant, I got this a bazillion years ago. I'm surprised it's still in such decent condition, to be honest. This is rose quartz. It's a big rose quartz wand. I like using it in devotional rituals sometimes. I think a tower generator. Thank you, Jill. Fuck yeah. Generator. By the way, I cuss a lot. Thank you. Oh my God. Well, activator. Like I was trying to remember, I like had remembered that word like right before we started. I'm like, I cannot forget that word. So of course I forgot that word. Perfect. Thank you. So this is pretty rad because it's very comfortable. If you do use a wand like this, it's also very phallic. Now that I'm holding it all awkwardly. But if you do use a wand like this, you do want to make sure it's comfortable. This one is a little heavy. So if I was doing like some Reiki work and I want to like use my crystals in my Reiki work and I have somebody on the table and I might want, I might want to use this, but this is not something I would want to use for a really long time because it's already heavy. Like I can feel it. I mean, granted, I'm not terribly in shape, but I could still like feel it already wanting to like weigh me down. So if you're doing something where you will be like doing actual healing work, you might want to look for something a little bit shorter, a little bit smaller, a little bit lighter. This I've used in love rituals. I'm a devotee of Aphrodite, so this is like perfect for like devotional rituals and things like that for me. So, or some people use crystals to actually direct energy as part of their spell working. Like as their wand. Most like Wiccan people, what are you doing? Sorry, my dog is being weird. Most Wiccans, if they have a wand, it's usually wooden. That's kind of like the traditional sort of tool, like the traditional material that wands are made out of. But many people have started to use crystals. But so if you do decide to use your crystal as a wand, I would just be really careful with your choice and make sure you are super sure about it, because when you use something like as a wand during spell work, you're using it as like dude, I'm going to let you out right now. Hold on a second. Dude, you need to go. Out. Enjoy yourself. Sorry, guys. Honestly, my dog just farted really bad. So I'm just like, go on then. Okay. So if you are going to use a wand, you want to make sure that you are very, very sure about it, because when you are directing energy, you are like using it as an extension of your body. And you don't want to, you want to make sure that that is solid and that it's not going to mess up your energy, and it's not going to, that you're super comfortable with the energy that that specific crystal holds. Okay. Yeah. You might not love him so much, Tracy, if you were in here right now. What is happening? Okay. And I know he's standing right outside the door wanting to come back in. All right. So the last one that I think I want to talk about is the seer stone. And I don't know if you've ever had one of these. I have a quartz one around here somewhere also, but the back is shaped like, it's like a regular rock, but there is a cut and polished side that you can use for scrying. You can use for concentration, meditation, contemplation. Or you can just look at it because it's super pretty. And it's kind of cool to see the contrast. But in an everyday magic sort of way, these are good focal pieces if you need to meditate on the go. Like if you're in your car and you need to meditate, sometimes it's good to have a focal piece because it's hard to I'm just going to close my eyes and meditate. And, it might be a little bit more difficult in your car when you're all squished up. So sometimes I find that it's good to have some sort of focal point where you can just relax your gaze and clear your mind while still focusing on an actual physical thing. And these things are really good for that. Okay, so we talked about some intentions that we might use in everyday magic. We talked about sizes and shapes. We talked a little bit about techniques, and and I want to talk now a little bit about ways to actually use these things in your everyday life. So for example, in your home, if you want to do something with protection, you can grid your actual home. So you could, if you are in a house, you can go to like the four corners of your property and you can bury specific crystals that you find resonate with protection and warding. Your brat. Besides that, you can also, if you are in an apartment, you can do the same thing, but you want to instead of burying it on the sides, in the four corners of your house, you can put them in the four corners of your apartment or your condo. You just want to make sure that you don't have any animals that are going to eat them or children who are going to choke on them. Obviously, you want to be safe. I've seen people create mojo bags and put them in the corners of their room or the corners of their apartment. Just either hang them super high or just hang them low, put them behind a piece of furniture or something like that to kind of create the grid that is necessary. Do you need up there? Oh my God. So high maintenance day. Sorry, guys. Jesus. All right. Also, like I said, when you have one of those big generators, you can choose your generators very carefully and then put them in parts of your house that you feel need that. So if you wanted to bring more love into your house, so weird. Stop. Sorry. If you want to bring energy into your love energy, you can get a giant rose quartz generator, charge it up, cleanse it, obviously consecrate it, cleanse it, bless it, do whatever is in your tradition or your practice to make it clean and clear, and charge it up and get it ready to go, and just place it in a part of your home, like maybe the living room or the bedroom if you're having some fights, that sort of thing. You also can just use something like this as a decor piece, just something that you can use as a decor piece. And that same thing goes for work. You can have a pretty crystal like this at work, charge it, with your intentions, bring it to work, leave it. I mean, the little ones also work super well. Also, when you bring the little ones, people are less likely to get all handsy with them. I have it's like a quartz, it's like a wand. It's about this size, but it's just a straight piece. It's got rough and smooth. It's really cool. And I have it at work and people love to touch it and it makes me insane. But I have a sage spray and stuff at work too, because I'm the resident weirdo, obviously, at my day job. And so I can cleanse it, but be aware if you have something super cool and pretty on your desk, people will likely touch it. So it is it's a good like strong piece to have, but the little ones are a little bit like more under the radar. And people will be less likely to be like, oh, can I touch this and stroke it and love on it and put it on my face? Because no, get your own crystals. I said that to somebody and then they did. Turns out. Spreading the love of crystals. Okay. Again, you can also do a grid at work as well. If you have little crystals. I have brought stuff to create grids at work, just like little guys, like about that big, and just put it on off to a side or like behind my copy holder where all my papers are, so that I know it's there, but a lot of people aren't like, oh, let me touch your grid and move all your stuff. I don't know, maybe you work at a place where people respect your private property. Anyway, so other than that, you can also, like I said earlier, wear them as jewelry. Put them in your bra. You can create little mojo bags. I've seen some little spell jars that are worn as necklaces. Also, those things are awesome. Again, you obviously won't want to be like, unless you do. If you do, there's no judging here. But I mean, if you want to be the giant, Flavor Flav clock person, with, that's totally fine with your giant piece of rose quartz that you're just gonna wear. I don't know. Has anybody had a work day like where you're like, I really need to wear this giant piece of rose quartz to remind myself to love everybody? I have, but that Flavor Flav look is not noticeable on me. So when I do make jewelry, I usually, if I'm not using beads, I usually use the smaller tumbles and wire wrap them. Or I will use a locket necklace and like origami owl and put crystals in that. All right. And then I want to talk about the kitchen in particular. So the kitchen, I'm kind of into kitchen witchery, and I know a lot of you guys are as well, because we did have that kitchen witchery challenge a couple months ago, which was super, super fun. I really loved it. So the kitchen is something that is near and dear to my heart. And a lot of times there are fights in the kitchen. It's where like everybody tends to gather at like parties or holidays. Like we think everybody's going to be in like the living room, but everybody just kind of tends to, especially women, tend to congregate in the kitchen. So it is a place of high energy. It also is a place where you are putting your energy into the food that you are making. So you want to make sure that when you are cooking, you probably want to make sure that you are cooking with love and happiness and all like good feelings and good intentions. So sometimes it's really good to kind of create a kitchen altar. What that means to you is going to be different than what that means to me. So I actually have a small shrine in my kitchen to Bridget. And I have like it's like an actual like house-shaped shrine that has like a candle inside. And it has like little things inside. And then I have got a candle and like a little offering dish outside of it. And it sits like kind of back from my sink. So whenever I'm washing dishes or if I'm cooking, I can look at that shrine and I can like light a candle and it can help me have that good intention. Especially when I'm having a bad day, when I'm mad at somebody I'm cooking for, like I make sure I light the candle, I take deep breaths, I might hold some selenite, I might hold some rose quartz to try to at least release that a little bit. Because I don't want to put all of that yucky stuff into all of that bad energy into the food that I am making that they are going to put into their bodies. So that is why I think it's a good idea to have something in your kitchen, whether it is a generator or a shrine or a grid or just a little tiny bowl, just get like a little bowl with, dust, with some crystals in it that you can just set like off to the side of your sink or put near your stove or whatever feels right to you. And that's the most important thing in all of this, is that what you are doing feels right to you. So if you hold a crystal and you're like repelled by it and you're repulsed by it, and the books say like, this is the, like, for example, for me, I do not feel tiger's eye. I do not like tiger's eye. I have tiger's eye somewhere. Oh, here's a red one. But I don't care for it. It makes me feel almost physically nauseous. Like to hold it, which is why I went back really quick. But you know, people say that is the perfect stone for confidence. Well, I'll find another confidence stone. I'm fine. Like it doesn't make me feel confident. It makes me feel nauseous. So make sure that you are doing you when you are choosing your crystals, for everything, for all of these things that we're talking about. So the last thing I want to talk about in regards to kitchen, witchery, and crystals is the idea of gem elixirs. Now, the idea of a gem elixir is you put a crystal or a stone into water or into liquid, and it kind of creates a potion. You know, you do it with the intention that the energy from the stone will become infused with the water. And we see like some of these like crystal water bottles, which are all the rage now, where basically it's people put a crystal in glass and then put the water bottle over it, and it costs $90 for the bottle. And it's super pretty. I'm not saying I don't want one because they're super pretty. But if you do things like this, you want to make sure that your crystals are not water soluble, because many crystals are water soluble. Mostly, you know, the one thing that I always remember are the ites, like selenite, malachite, azurite, fluorite. I don't know about fluorite. I think raw fluorite is bad in water. I'm not sure though. You would want to check an actual like list, because I don't know everything off the top of my head. But there are crystals that you don't want to put in liquid, even like to clean them, to cleanse them. They're like a dry cloth sort of cleaning, and not a I'm going to dunk you in salt water, because there are things like this are soluble in water. They will fall apart literally, like salt. Salt is a crystal, but you know it dissolves in water. So we just want to make sure that you stay safe. Some crystals like malachite are toxic. Even raw malachite, you know, if you are handling it, you want to make sure you wash your hands afterwards, because it does have some toxicity to it. So that's like your danger warning part of the live stream. All right, so I want to talk about easy ways to use what you already have, because if you're like me, you don't have a zillion dollars to spend on every crystal ever, so you make sure you have the right crystal for every single thing. I feel like I have done a pretty good job over the past 20 years I have a pretty good selection, you know, but I've taken 20 years. I see people in some of these crystal groups where they're dropping like $1,000 a month on crystals. And if you have $1,000 a month to spend on crystals, like go you. But most of us do not. So I want to talk about easy ways to use what you already have. First of all, intuition. We just finished that intuition infusion challenge. Intuition. So what I have done in the past, I've taken all my crystals that I have and I've spread them out either on the carpet or on a table. And I will put in my mind, like I need something with the intention of protection. And so I spread all of my crystals out, and I close my eyes and I put my hands down, and I try to get into a receptive mindset. And I put my hands down and I put them over the crystals, just like this far away. Like not, you don't have to like be all, just like, you know, and so that you can feel like the energy. And what you're going to do is you're going to feel for the energy of the crystal, and you're going to kind of ask the crystal to, you know, let you know that that's the right crystal for that intention for you at this time. That doesn't mean it's going to be the perfect intention every time, but this time that's it for you. And so you're going to put your hands over them, and you are going to kind of just do a couple sweeps and see if your hand, close your eyes, see if your hands are drawn toward one part of the pile than the other. And then you're going to move your consciousness into the palms of your hand. So I know I talk a lot about observation and moving your consciousness to different parts of your body so that you can feel them in a different way. So what you're going to do is you're going to move your consciousness into your hand and just pay attention to the way that the palms and the bottoms of your hands feel while you are tracing over this pile of crystals. And you might find like everybody feels energy differently. And if you haven't really done a lot of energy like experiences or experiments, this is a really good receptive energy like practice. So you just do this and see if anything feels prickly, see if something feels warm, something might feel cold, and you just like literally might feel that in your hands. So you can just ask a crystal to come to you and just choose one, but I really like the spreading them all out and asking your intuition and do the sweep of your hands. Because I'll tell you, like I will always find something. I used to go to a crystal shop in Ontario, California, at the Ontario Mills Mall, and they would have like this giant like bathtub sort of thing of all these different tumbles. Like you could buy, you know, big things and little things, but they had these little tumbles. And so I would just stand there and I would like lay and I would kneel down next to the bathtub and I would, you know, choose my crystals that way. And I'd find one here and then one here. And those are the crystals that I would take home with me. And I still have them. So, you know, when you're using your intuition, you can use your observation, the feelings in your actual hands to help you choose from what you already have. If you don't have like the perfect crystal or you're not feeling like super drawn to one thing or another, that's a really good exercise to do. Another quick way to choose a crystal is based on color correspondences or chakra color correspondences, which are very, if you like think about it, are very pretty much similar, if not the same in many instances. Okay, so if you know anything about like color magic, like the color correspondences when you do candle magic, you know, red is love or lust, pink is love, yellow is success and confidence, orange is also success and confidence. Yellow can be communication, like intellect. Green is prosperity. Gold can also be prosperity. Blue is often peace, tranquility. Black is often protection. Brown is also prosperity. So you've got all of these colors. And if you don't know those color correspondences, just ask yourself, like a lot of these correspondences, a lot of people don't want you to know this. And we talked about this in the Kitchen Witchery Challenge. But a lot of these correspondences are so commonsensical. Like once you figure that out, it like breaks the code. So in Kitchen Witchery, we talked mostly about herbs and things and spices and things like that, and how cinnamon has a spicy taste, and things that are hot are usually more, you know, for prosperity, and things that are earthy or, you know, I mean, things that are hot are more for like protection because it's spicy. Things that are more earthy, like basil and patchouli, which you probably don't use in the kitchen, but it came to mind anyway, and bay, those are like for prosperity. So, because the earth has to do with prosperity. So once you kind of get some of these simple correspondences down, like the earth, air, fire, water correspondences and the color correspondences and chakra correspondences, once you kind of memorize those things, like you are pretty good to go, like in a pinch. Like I still have a correspondence book, don't get me wrong. But I know like if I'm having problems communicating, I can look at the chakra, like, so the throat chakra is the one that is aligned with communication, and that's blue. So a lot of communication stones, if they're not yellow, they're going to be blue. A lot of prosperity stones are going to be green. The crystals that have to do with love are probably going to be pink, or they will also be green because the heart chakra is green. So once you kind of get those sorts of correspondences, like you can use them for all of your crystals. So just because you don't have like, oh my gosh, I want jade for my prosperity spell and all I have is aventurine. Well, aventurine will also work. You have a green crystal or a gold crystal, that'll work for your prosperity spell. So you don't have to just go by like these specific correspondences that people have. Of course, those are great as well. But in a pinch, if you don't have what the world says that you need to have, you probably have something anyway. You know, you can program a quartz crystal to do just about anything. It is work though. It isn't just like, hey quartz, you're awesome. Now you're gonna be about love, okay? I mean, it is like You are channeling energy when you're programming a crystal. You know, there's a lot of will involved. It is a little bit of work, but you can go ahead and like program that crystal. Also, like I said earlier at the very beginning, clear quartz is an amplifier. So especially like, I feel like the clearer it is, like this one's kind of clear, pretty clear, like the more it's going to help amplify and make clear your intention. So that's kind of why I feel like clear quartz is an amplifier, because it is clear and it makes clear your intention to the universe. So it helps amplify that. And if it's pointy, I feel also like it just amplifies the energy. So do you have any questions? I just want to make sure that you kind of know that you can do all kinds of things with what you already have. You don't have to go out and buy a whole bunch of things. I'm trying to think of anything that I might have forgotten. So like, I don't want to be like, and labradorite's good at the new moon, and this is for peace, and this is for, you know, energy, and et cetera, et cetera. This is snake medicine. Because that could be like 4 hours of show and tell, and you have the internet. You don't need me for that. But I did want to talk about how the impact of the shape of the crystal can really like help impact like what you're trying to do with it, especially because I don't feel like that's something that anybody really talks about. People talk about small stones versus big stones, and rose quartz versus smoky quartz, and citrine versus, you know, baked amethyst citrine. So we have all of these conversations, but the shapes can really help form your intention into the universe. So I think that's about it. If you don't have any questions, if you do have questions, you can always post them in the group. Just post, you know, feel free. This is your group too. Like I said when I did that silly live the other day, like, go live. This is your group. If you want to do show and tell, that's awesome. If you have a question about what crystal would be great for grounding, or of these 5 crystals I have, which would be the best for something, you know, you're going to get a lot of really good feedback. We have a lot of awesome witches in this group, of all different like, hi Raquel, of all different levels. We have people who've been in the craft for 20 plus years. We have people just starting out. So you have a ton of amazing, really grounded people and all of our experience to draw from. So if you have a crystal question or any other question, obviously, you know, feel free to post that in the group. Let's get some really good discussion going. I feel like sometimes people are afraid to post in the group, but this is a pretty small group. We're kind of tight, you know, we're kind of close knit, and it really is a safe space. Nobody's going to come after you or say anything mean or bad, because I will bring down the Van Hammer, because it's a place of love and transformation and helping. We're like women helping women create their own magical lives, and that's really important to me. So feel free to ask your questions just in the group, and that's it. All right, since nobody seems to have a question, I will let you guys go, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.